This is Imre and welcome to today's Market Roundup. Okay, there has been a lot of market action. So let's cover some of the important points and get right to it. It's been a pretty bullish day, second bullish day in a row for equities after getting absolutely slammed for most of the month of April. And April is historically a great month for equities, but of course this year it has not played out that way. That being said, very impressive bounces off the lows here in equities, global equities as well. So the big question is, has the market found the bottom? And I'll give you my personal thoughts on that. And yeah, let's get right into it. So first off, we have the S&P 500 index. This is the cash index here. And you can see it's not all that surprising that we bounced off of this support level. And I think that there is, in fact, room for further rallies, possibly towards the 20 and 50 period moving averages, which come in right around the 4,400 level right now. So that would be a decent, that would be a decent bull run here. And it could happen probably, I'd be surprised if it happened by end of day tomorrow. But if we reach that target sometime by early to mid next week, that would seem pretty reasonable for me. My personal bias is that at that point, the market will top out and we will still have another leg to the downside. So that's something that I'm personally keeping an eye on here. But I do think that over the next couple days or into next week, there is the chance that we're going to see some continued bullish price action here. And it's a similar story over in the world stock index. We're bouncing right at support, bouncing at prior lows, and the moving averages in the total world stock index don't come in till just below 99, it looks like. And right around that 98 level is some prior support, which should now serve as resistance. So I think the global equities do have a bit of a runway here to put in a decent surprise performance to the upside. But based on the technicals, based on the macro fundamentals, my opinion as of right now is that any rally will ultimately become a bear market rally and will be sold. As far as crypto goes, all right, so in this basket, 48,000, to me, that was a pretty key level. And I definitely remember telling you guys, let's see if we can hold above 48,000. We haven't. And now cryptos are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And we're going to see a break one way or the other would be my feeling. So on the one hand, we have the moving average pressure from above. We also have that blue trend line I've drawn in. That could serve as resistance. And then on the other hand, we have that gray shaded support area that comes in right around the 4,000 level in this basket. So there isn't a lot of room one way or the other. So the crypto basket could trade sideways for a little bit longer, but eventually we got to break. We got to break up or we got to break down. And yeah, my money right now would be that we're going to break lower first before we break higher. I'm not literally putting money behind that bet. I don't trade sideways market, simple as that. And although we've had some good up days and some bad down days, overall, as you can see, going back to early 2022, we've just traded sideways, and I don't trade sideways markets. So I'm watching as a curious observer, but not really putting my money behind any moves in the crypto market quite yet. All right, so the market outlook in my view still has to remain bearish. We had news event today, which was the advanced GDP quarter-over-quarter reading, came in below expectations, negative 1.4%, I believe. So we are, that's only going to fuel the recessionary fears that the entire market seems to have adopted quite quickly between a real concern in terms of inflationary pressures, how central banks will deal with that, and whether they're going to raise rates too fast, too soon, and basically crush the economy, and then you see this weak GDP number come out. It's definitely painting a narrative in a certain way. Now, personally speaking, just my opinion, I don't think central banks lead the market. All right, I think they follow the market. So I don't think it's going to be central bank policy unless they do something that's really out of left field here that's going to lead the market one way or the other. I think the price action in the treasury yield is ultimately going to be the real guide for how the Fed hikes or does not hike. That being said, if I put on my economist hat for a moment, which is of all the hats I wear, that's probably my least favorite one, I can understand on the one hand the recessionary fears that people have, but I don't see that happening next week, and I don't see it happening 6 months from now. I think such an event is at least a couple years to a few years away. Economy is still in great shape. You know, even if we get to back-to-back quarters of negative growth, all right, which would be the trigger for a recession, according to the textbooks, I don't see the world necessarily falling apart. Unemployment is still very tight. Companies are still looking to expand, and interest rates, although rising, are still at historically low levels. So I still don't see quite the perfect storm for a recession just yet, although the storm clouds are brewing for one. And tomorrow we have the PCE price index reading, which is a core inflationary reading from the Fed. So that could definitely cause some fireworks. 8:30 in the morning, pretty early. If you're up and trading around that time, I think it's worth keeping an eye on. Okay, getting into currency analysis now. So first off, we have the crypto market. It's been a good day for the crypto market. There are a couple smaller altcoins that I keep an eye on out of interest. There's this coin called Ape, and the Ape coin is up like 25% today. Dogecoin was up almost 30% the other day as well. So we're definitely seeing the altcoins, so-called altcoins, make moves. Today, however, we can see it was Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin that kind of led the way, whereas Solana and Cardano more or less flat. So that's kind of what's going on in the crypto world, and we're actually going to take a look at a chart of Litecoin in a little bit. Over on the currency side, after putting in a strong showing yesterday, the yen was the biggest loser today, and the Canadian dollar and the US dollar put in strong showings today as well. Now, in terms of velocity, I do really like the yen crosses right now, and I like them because whether you think we're dealing with a bear market rally that's going to be sold and we'll see greater yen strength, or if the yen strength is over and the yen's going to get sold again, no matter how you want to look at it, the velocity is there, and when there's velocity, there are going to be opportunities. So a lot of the currency pairs that we're going to be looking at will be in the yen, in the yen crosses. So let's shift over there right now so I can show you what I'm taking a look at. So first off, we have Aussie Yen. So yeah, this is pretty nasty, right? We had basically 4 days of straight selling followed by 2 days of buying. And again, keep in mind, 4 days of selling, 2 days of buying. And in 2 days of buying, we've already corrected about 50% of the entire sell-off. So that's pretty exciting to me from the bull side. On the bear side, however, there's just no denying that this is a steep sell-off, and as of yet, this is still a rally that has not truly picked up much steam. So on the 1 hour chart, yeah, we've cleared the moving averages. I'm curious to see what happens. My feeling is that prices have to trade sideways right now, let these moving averages catch up, and then we'll get a setup, a break either lower or higher. I don't have a clear view or bias either way, and I don't really care. What I care about is that there's energy in the yen crosses, especially in Aussie Yen right now, Canada Yen as well, which we'll go over and take a look at that in a moment. And so long as there's energy, I can afford to remain patient because it means we'll see something happen. So you can see it's a very similar story in Canada Yen. We had here 4 days of selling, and then in 2 days of buying, we're almost up to new highs past the April 21st high. So we'll have to wait and see. I'd love to see some kind of base, all right? I'd really love to see a base, and then buying a breakout of that base would be fantastic. Or likewise, if we get a sharp drop, I'm not going to chase it. I'll then wait to see a controlled bear rally, which can then be sold. But either way, the energy is there in the yen crosses, so I'm focusing a lot of my attention on those yen crosses as a result. Dollar Canada, also really interesting because we're coming into some pretty heavy resistance here. The market has rejected prices heading into this band, let's call it between 128.25 and let's say 129.25. So it's a pretty wide band, but the market's failed up here every single time. So I would not be shocked to see a setup to fade this rally into that resistance zone pretty soon. My short-term momentum indicators are all signaling pretty sharp bearish divergences. So in the MACD and the RSI. I don't see a reason to pull the trigger just yet, but this is definitely something I'm keeping an eye on. Sterling Canada, I mean, the pound's been awful, but we are trading into multi-year support. Multi-year lows going back to 2016. These are Brexit levels that we're approaching. So and the market's quite oversold here. Now, oversold does not mean over, but when I see a deeply oversold market trading into multi-year support, it makes me think that the odds are we're going to get at least a short-term bounce. So again, keeping an eye on Sterling Canada and Euro Canada. We just broke a major support, and my next major support target is down at 130.25 or so. So there's quite a lot of room to run from where we are right now, which is at 134.46. So approximately 3% to the next major support level. So my view is sell Euro Canada on bounces. And then finally, Litecoin. All right, Litecoin is really cool. You can see here, there's just horizontal support. And you could say, yes, this is kind of a descending triangle, which would lead to it being a bearish formation. But then I look at this bullish divergence in my momentum indicators, and now I'm not so sure. I mean, look at that. Look at how sharp the bullish divergence is in the MACD. It's rare to see that level of a divergence, and slightly less sharp in the RSI, but that bullish divergence is there nonetheless. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Litecoin pick up some steam here. I mean, this prior high here is kind of a natural target, 114.65. So from where we are at 103, that would still be a reasonable 10% move or so. So if I see a good setup to go long Litecoin, out of all the major cryptos on offer, Litecoin would be the one I'd be looking at for a potential setup to that 114 target. All right, so that's what I've got in terms of trades I'm watching. Oh, this is totally my fault. I'm so sorry. I forgot to update the conclusion here. Risk off is not very strong right this moment. It's actually the opposite. Risk on is quite strong. And the US dollar and the Canadian dollar seem to be quite strong as well. So cryptos had put in a couple of strong bullish days, and with let's see if that lasts. I'm not convinced by the crypto strength. The Litecoin idea I showed you guys is pretty speculative. And of course, I'll be actually hosting the trading Q&A coming up on our Maverick calendar. As I'm recording this, it's 4:47 p.m. Eastern time. So I'll see you guys in a few minutes. My actual conclusion here is be careful. Focus on the markets that have a lot of volatility in them. So the yen crosses have volatility in them. A lot of the majors, the dollar currency pairs, have a lot of energy in them right now. And when there's a lot of energy, you don't have to be tied or married to a directional bias. You just have to be where that energy is. Obviously, still follow your plan and only take trades in accordance with your plan. But if you're keeping an eye on where the market's kind of building up that energy, the odds of finding a trade will be far higher. Okay, so that's kind of my conclusion for tonight. I'll see some of you in the trading Q&A shortly, and otherwise, I'll talk to the rest of you next week. Good luck out there. Stay safe tomorrow. I think tomorrow could actually be a pretty good trading day to cap off what has been an exciting week. All right, take care, everyone. See you later.